Well, hello, fellow nerds. Welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. And today we're talking about...
dicks.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about Constantine, the movie, which I learned a lot about when I watched it.
It is not a vampire movie,
It's
much
not.
to Whitney's chagrin.
I was really disappointed about that. But before we get into all that, Deb, will you please share our nerdiest cocktail?
Well, tonight our listeners are actually in for a treat because our cocktail made by Mindy coincides with this episode and Thursday's episode.
Ooh, look at
so
you,
I'm
man.
not even going to make you guys go look up the recipe this time. So this concoction is after its namesake, Constantine. It's themed after getting to know your significant other, and it pairs well with late night chats, trophy making, and bedtime stories. Although it may cause you to watch your partner's favorite movie, Constantine, 12 times. It's really, really, really good. It's cranberry and cherry juice
It's
and
delicious.
vodka and some love and spit from Mindy.
Speaking of slobber. Well, thank you, Deb. Thank you, Mindy, for the cocktail. It is delightful. Let's get into our nerdy news and nerd alerts. I think actually all three of us have nerdy news this week, which hasn't happened for a really long time, I don't think. So who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
I only have one, and it's called "Is She Really Going Out with Him?" And
Is she really
I was gonna say,
going
that's a song.
out with him?
I know. I keep singing it in my head too. And
All these books you like are 80s and 70s and 80s songs.
that's maybe why I'm drawn to them. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But this one is by Sophie Cousens, and it comes out on November 19th. It's about a divorcee who agrees to let her children play matchmaker.
Ooh.
Thought that sounded different and interesting.
I think
Interesting,
my children would not be able to agree.
I don't know that mine
Yeah.
would either.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
My kids would probably be like, ew, no.
No, my daughter
thank
would
you.
be all over that.
I'd be very curious to see who my kids would hook me up with. Like I don't think they know.
What you
Other
like?
than Darren,
Yeah.
I don't think
they
they
only
would.
have to listen to a couple episodes. They'll get it.
Bless me. I'm so sorry.
Okay,
Bless
can you
you.
show me your dick before I set you off with my mom?
If you're going to try to gag her with it, it's a solid no.
Yeah. Well, I'll go next because I only have two. So one is out already and one comes out today. So the one that's already out is called The Penalty by DC Kile. I've read a book by DC Kile last year and really enjoyed it. We'll have to link it in the show notes because now I can't remember what it was. But The Penalty,
story.
I just read and I really liked it. I know some people will find this a little like triggering because it's an age gap romance, but I enjoyed it, I will say.
Okay, what are the ages?
Well,
All right.
okay,
Never mind, I gotcha.
So here's the deal. So the girl is 22. She is best friends with this guy's daughter, but he had this daughter in high school. So he is 37.
Okay.
She's 22. He's 37.
That's not
right.
super gross.
Which is not horribly gross, but
It'd be better if they were 32 and 47.
I think they could.
Yeah.
We could have made this story 24 and 39.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't, and that's her prerogative. But it's finishing your last little bit of college, and the guy for the girl, and then the guy is the coach, the head coach of the football team. So it's like kind of a teacher student, but it's not really a teacher student. I will say that
At least she can drink.
Yes, it has forced proximity, and they end up like living in the same house. But like how all that happens actually works, I think, for the story and makes sense. So, you guys, if you've listened to more than one episode, you probably have heard me say I used to be a teacher, so I don't do like teacher student stuff. But I was okay with coach, and she's a sports journalist major, so she's reporting on the team.
And it's college, it's not high school.
Yeah, so I mean, it could have been like a journalist intern that just graduated,
Right.
But it isn't. So whatever. But I liked it. It was a 4-star read for me. And I, for a hot minute, thought that there was going to be a surprise pregnancy, and I was like really upset about it. And I was not. There wasn't one, and I gave
You already had a surprise pregnancy, damn it.
exactly. Well, I thought it was going to happen.
Right.
That's what I thought was happening. So I'm like whole extra star for not having a surprise pregnancy. I was excited about that. So that came out last week, November 8th. And then the one that comes out today is My Favorite Holidate by Lauren Blakely. And this follows the story of Fable, a female main character that we meet in the Love and Hockey books that I'm going to talk about in a second when we talk about what we're reading. And so it's a standalone story, but it's in a like shared universe. So it's billionaire boss, forbidden romance, friends to lovers, fake dating, small town, and holiday. So I'm very excited to read this because I really enjoy this character in the other books. So those are my nerd alerts.
Awesome. Well, I have a few, like I always do. The first book I want to talk about is called Everybody is a Liar by Liv Constantine. It comes out on November 12th. You keep saying today is November 12th today. I don't know. Okay, it comes out today.
I love how you kept with the theme.
Yeah.
With the last name.
Oh, yeah, I totally did that on purpose. I was like, what thing? This book is about a mystery writer who suspects her husband is cheating and seeks advice from her best friend. And the couple turns to couples therapy where they discuss the betrayal with their therapist, Liza. However, when a murder occurs in their small Connecticut town, Liza begins to suspect a connection between her husband and another patient. Ooh la la. The next one is Dead Girls Don't Dream by Nino. I think it's Cipri. It's Cipri. It also comes out today. And the synopsis of this one is, there are rules for the Voynich Woods. Always carry a whistle, never go alone, and always come home before dark. And if anyone calls your name, don't answer.
Ooh.
So I have an art for that. I'm currently reading it. And then Mary Pearson, who is an author that we met at our first Imaginarium, she's really great. She has a new book coming out called The Courting of Bristol Keats. And after losing both her parents, Bristol Keats and her sister struggle to stay afloat in their small, quiet town of Bowskeep. When Bristol begins to receive letters from an aunt she's never heard of who promises that she can help, she reluctantly goes to meet her and discovers that everything she thought she knew about her family is a lie. Even that her father might still be alive, not killed and kidnapped by the terrifying creatures of a whole nother realm who he just happens to be from.
Oh.
Yeah, so a little supernatural element in there.
That was a November book of the month, too. If it wasn't, it was an add-on.
It might be an add-on, I think, yeah. And then finally, we've got The Syndicator by RuNyx. And again, I think I'm pronouncing that right, RuNyx. She or they wrote Gothicana. This comes out on the 15th, and I'm not going to give you much of a synopsis because it's the 6th book in the series. Yeah. So it's a dark romance novel, and it's the final book in the Dark Verse series. So go check that out if you've been a fan of hers for a while.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So a lot of great books coming out this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff. So let's talk about our nerdy and dirty. What are you guys reading?
Well, I just finished Irish by Brittany Nicole.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to read that.
I haven't started it
This
yet.
is for our actual book club this month. We have book club every week with you all, but for our close and personal friends, we have a book club of 6. And this is what we chose to read this month. This month. It's about a double agent working for the FBI and who is also the head of the Irish mafia. So he's a double agent. He's hunting for a serial killer who just happens to be the woman who shows up on his doorstep and was his first love.
I love this premise.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to get into this.
It's cool. I finished it. I really liked it. As soon as I finished that, I did go back and pick up Dawn of the Cursed Queen, which is the 3rd book in the Book of Azrael series by Amber V. Nicole. And it picks right up from where the Throne of Broken Gods, fell off, cliff hanged essentially. And it's like this cliffhanger that's full of murder and deception. And so I was waiting for this book to come out. It's been out since April, and I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. And it's super great so far.
Awesome.
Although I had to go back and read a Sparks Notes synopsis.
I've had to do that so many
there's
times.
so many characters. I mean, it's a fantasy book, right? There's so many characters. I was like, who did what now?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with stuff with so many different characters and so many good books.
That happened with me. I'm actually reading Goldfinch right now. Ooh. I'm about 70% through. I
love it.
I know. I'm really, really enjoying it. But I was the same way because it's definitely more points of view than it has been before.
Yes,
oh yeah, for sure.
And so I've had to find myself being wait, what happened there? But I'm really, really enjoying that.
Have you texted Whitney anything yet?
I texted
a couple of things.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember what they were.
I texted her more than once because I was like, oh my God. I gave that book 5 stars. You gave it 5 stars too, didn't you, Whit? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to finish it up. So, and I feel like I'm always reading something on my Kindle, a real book, and something I'm listening to. And so my physical books that I went back to because I just needed to escape back into the hockey world. Mm. And I went back to L. Kennedy's books because I started them and then I started back. I think I talked about this last week. So anyways, I finished up that series. I've read The Goal and The Legacy.
So good.
Yeah. So Goldfinch is by Raven Kennedy and The Goal and Legacy are by L. Kennedy. I just have a whole Kennedy thing going on here.
I own L. Kennedy books that I've never
you've
read.
never read?
Yeah, I'm
I really
going
like
to.
them.
I've never met a person that does not like their writing, so I'm going to. Just I just caught up with Dawn of the Cursed Queen, which was one of my
Right.
most wanted reads this year.
That
so.
was me too. It was like I guess I got sidetracked and I just never went back, and so I'm glad I did.
There's too many books out there to keep track of everything you want to
Right.
read. I mean, really, there is. So, well, I also read some hockey books this week. I read the first two books, which are, as of right now, the only ones that are out in the Love and Hockey series by Lauren Blakely. So these are standalone romances in a shared world that I have really, really enjoyed. So the first one is called The Boyfriend Goal, and that one is a brother's best friend, forced proximity, forbidden romance, a one-night stand turned HEA. And then book two, I didn't write down that title, but it was just as good. I really enjoyed it. It's also a forbidden romance. It's an enemies to lovers. It's hate, but it's not actually hate. It's love, and they just don't realize it yet. It's the PR director of the hockey team with one of the star hockey players. And it's got forced proximity because they have to work together. It's slow burn and grumpy sunshine. And then my favorite Holidate is in that same world also, but neither of the characters are connected to the hockey team. So I think it's just like an offshoot thing. And then there's another book coming out in the series, I believe, in January. And I already put it in my calendar. So those are all on KU. So that's what I'm reading. What are you guys watching?
Besides Constantine?
Yeah, right. I want to talk about, last week was Halloween, right? Mm-hmm. And every Halloween, our family, us and our two children, we bring the fire pit to the front of the driveway, and we always project a movie on the garage door while we give out candy to the trick-or-treaters. So this year, we watched the 1995 classic movie Casper, starring Christina Ricci and Bill Pullman. My husband had never seen all of it, right? Yeah. And so it was one of my fave Halloween movies growing up, and I was explaining to my husband that everyone wanted to kiss Devon Sawa. I was like, it was like a sexual awakening for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it made the butt cut popular.
Well, yes, because it was hot.
Yeah. It looked, and here's the thing. It still looked really good on him.
I know. He's cute.
Right. He was super cute. But at that part where he's like, can I keep you? And I'm like, you can, buddy. Yeah. You can. Don't be a ghost again. Don't. No.
I vividly remember watching that movie, specifically when they had all the different people coming to cleanse the house from of the ghost or whatever, and having no idea who any of those people were. You know what I mean? It's all these cameos or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I do remember the one guy with the mustache or a beard or something. He's like, it's a piece of cake. It's a piece of crumb cake. I remember that.
Well, then they have Dan Aykroyd from the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I didn't get that when I watched it at first. Yeah. I did not understand that reference.
But of course, my husband, he didn't watch it growing up because he wasn't allowed to watch it. And they didn't celebrate Halloween. And so he's like, it's her first day of school and everyone just said they're going to have a party at her house. And I was like, I guess so.
Just suspend your disbelief, okay?
Yeah.
Just go with it. It's fine.
And then at the end, my husband's like, oh my God, is that his wife? That's his wife. He got into it.
Mindy, did you watch anything besides Constantine?
I did. I've been wanting to watch this for a little while. It's called Fanatical. It's on Hulu, and it's the story of Tegan and Sarah. This is a band who they have been interactive with their fans and just really had a big following because they were so open about being queer in a time when it really still wasn't something people talked about much.
Right.
And they had someone who for years pretended to be Tegan to other fans, would develop these intense correspondence relationships, and basically just catfish everyone. So this was an investigative documentary about the whole thing. They were trying to figure out who it was, and they still haven't found who it is. There's just some weird shit going on.
Somebody that the band wanted to do that, or they were just being a weird.
No, they were violated. They don't know who this person is. They were pretending to be her and creating these relationships and
parasocial relationships.
And the girls would be thinking they were having an actual relationship with her, and some of them became kind of sexually charged. Something. It was all correspondence. But
so none of it was in person. She didn't dress up like her.
No. Yeah. But they think it there's all these suspects, and one of them's a fan that was connected. It was so interesting. I never heard of something like this before, but I'm sure it goes on way more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, it does. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times whenever I was doing Sam Hewen's workout group, and I got I became an ambassador and shit for it because I'm a nerd. But I can't tell you the number of times I was messaged and it was this is my private account, and I'm like, All right.
It's not.
Yeah.
Venmo me on Sam.
That picture from 2017 really sells it, buddy.
But
Yeah.
I mean, they were sending out. They hacked into their some of their computer drives and were sending out demos and like songs before they were released and stuff like that.
Oh.
It was so weird. I mean, there was some super weird shit.
That is weird. So it's somebody that had like
Access somehow. Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
Our producer would
That is
really like
creepy.
that. We'll have to tell him about it.
Yeah, he would really enjoy that.
Well, I watched kind of in that same like true crime-ish vein. I watched Woman of the Hour on Netflix. It's Anna Kendrick's new movie.
I tried to watch it. It was a little
It's a little
violent
slow
for me.
It starts off a little slow, but ultimately I ended up really liking it. So this is Netflix. It's a dramatized, kind of fictionalized version of real events that happened, where a serial killer in real life, Rodney Alcala, ended up being a contestant on a dating game show back in the 70s. And so I've really liked the way that they paced the movie as far as the storytelling. So at times it was a little bit slow, but what they did was jump back and forth. Anna Kendrick, is it Anna or Anna? Anna Kendrick is the girl picking from the bachelors on this game show, and he's one of the bachelors, right? So it keeps going back and forth from her filming this episode of this game show, and it bounces all around the timeline basically of different murders that he has committed both before and after doing this game show.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing this girl interacting with this guy and not really knowing who he is, but you're showing the audience exactly who this person is, right? I really like the way that they did that. It was pretty cool.
Did you know that she donated all the money? Were you about to say that?
No,
Okay,
but I know what you're talking about.
She donated all the money, and I forget what charity it was, but it's essentially to abuse victims, wasn't it? Yeah, or like survivors, which I've always really respected her, but I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, she said basically like I felt really weird to make money off of like, because she said essentially, I know that doing something in the true crime genre is kind of controversial, that people think it's glamorizing or taking advantage or exploiting the victims, whatever. And I felt weird about making money off of it. So I donated it to a charity like that, which I thought was really cool too. But
Really, that's classy to me.
it is,
Very
yeah.
classy.
And I like that she acknowledged that some people have negative opinions about making a movie like that based on real events, which
I think she should come hang out with us.
I know,
think she
right?
would like us.
I think she would like to hang out with us. But what I really liked about the movie the most is that the dramatized parts, obviously they turned it into a movie. They changed some details, right? You do that with every single movie that's based on a real story. But the dramatized parts of this story, I felt like were really purposeful to highlight basically like the innate misogyny of our culture, which has a new meaning today than it did when I watched this movie last week. But it was just, there were so many times in this movie where people tried to say there's something wrong with this guy. There's something wrong with this guy. Hey, there is something wrong with this guy. And it was a dramatized version and kind of fictionalized of what was happening in real life as this man was traveling from state to state over the course of like 10 years.
Which isn't, that's not shady at all.
Raping and murdering women. But it was also the 70s, so it was easier to move from place to place and not be like tracked or whatever.
Right.
But basically everywhere he went, somebody was like, hello, like this is not okay. Something is wrong here. And they
You don't want to ruin a man's life.
They just got ignored. They just simply got ignored. And you see that in true crime over and over and over again, where it's like, if this person had made a different choice, if that person had actually done their job, then, these 10 people wouldn't have been victimized,
Right.
I'll tell you
It was
more.
it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot.
I'll tell you more about this offline, but I had a situation when I was out of town this weekend where I got in a very uncomfortable space and texted my husband first and then texted my counterpart, and they were both like, why are you still there? Just leave and don't ask for forgiveness. Just leave. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's all I needed someone to say.
Yeah.
And so I did. So I'll tell you more about it offline, but I had, that intuition is a real thing. And I was
absolutely.
like, I am like terrified right now. And you guys know me. I don't get scared.
That's
typically.
a whole scene in this movie where, because in real life and also in the movie, the girl on the dating show picks him. She's the bachelor that gets picked. And the show is like, we're going to send you, to Disneyland or whatever on this all expenses paid date or whatever it is. So in real life, they never met up. She was creeped out by him like on the like after they met in
Saw each
person.
other.
Yeah. And so in real life, the woman was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. This is
Right.
super creepy. And so they never like did anything. In the movie, they like walk down the street to a bar and have drinks. And there's this whole scene where she is having that kind of like, there's something wrong with this person. There's a part where he flags the waitress to order more drinks, and the Anna Kendrick like shakes her head very subtly, and the waitress is like, oh, sorry, you missed last call. We're actually like stuff like that that's
Right.
happening. That's like every woman can relate to, like, I'm uncomfortable, something is wrong, how do I get out of this
But we've been told
safely?
for years not to be rude, not to hurt someone's feelings. And I'll
Yep.
be honest, I was rude.
Yeah.
I was rude
Well,
last weekend.
I've been rude.
I don't regret
Here's
it.
what I'm going to say, because don't waste your time calling other people. This is us three telling you, if you get in that situation, you have permission to just leave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go.
Yeah.
I think all the time about this when I was in high school and I worked at the movie theater because I was cool. There was this guy.
Everyone wanted that job.
Everybody
Come on.
wanted that job. I worked concessions one night, and this guy, it was late on like a Friday or Saturday night, and he kept coming up during the movie runs where like nobody was ordering concessions, and he kept coming up and trying to talk to me. He invited me, I lived in a super small town, like nothing was open at 11 o'clock, right? He wanted to drive me 30 minutes to a different town to go to Waffle House when I got off work, and I had to have one of the other guys that was working pretend to be my boyfriend for this guy to
Right.
leave
Why
me
should we
alone.
have to do this? Why can't
Exactly.
we just say, dude, no.
Exactly.
No.
I said no like 6 times, and then finally was like, Mike, can you please come over here and stand with me? Because he's going to come back and he's going to ask me out again.
Right.
And like, I had him walk me to my car when I left work. And I think about that all the time because I'm like, I should have been able to be like, no.
Fuck off.
Oh, okay. And then that's it.
And you know what,
You
though?
know?
At your job, also, you're like, well, you can't be rude.
Yeah.
But we're at a point in civilization where, like, hopefully you're not gonna lose your job. Just tell them to fuck off.
Well, and this was
Ask for forgiveness
20
later.
years ago,
Yeah,
21
Right.
years
Where
ago.
you would have
where
gotten
I
in
was-
trouble for telling them
Yeah,
to
I
fuck
was
off, but-
16 or 17, and
Right.
And my
but anyway.
daughter has worked at a restaurant like a fast casual restaurant for years. Started when she was 17, and still starting then and still now, she gets guys asking for her number,
Yeah.
telling her how hot she is, like while she's working.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Gross.
I will say too, the only other thing I wanted to say about this movie, the end of the movie is the real events of how this guy got caught. He assaulted, attacked, raped this girl, but didn't kill her because he had some kind of connection with her. She was able to like talk to him and get him to like connect to her and act like she was like into what was going on, and was like, please don't tell anybody. I would be so embarrassed if they knew like this was the kind of thing I was into or whatever.
Yeah.
And ended up being able to run away from him at like a gas station or
girl.
something and called the police, and that's how he ended up getting arrested.
Wow.
So, and they do portray that in the movie.
I gotta say, I don't know how people can like get their mind together enough to do that. 'Cause do you remember that story from the 90s of that little old grandma that like someone was robbing and they were going to rape her, and she's like, no, I'll give you a blowjob. And he pulled down her pants and she twisted his testicles
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
begged
Yeah.
her to call an ambulance.
Yep.
And he was holding her at gunpoint, begging
Yep.
her to call an ambulance. And I'm
Yep.
like, I don't know if I would have the wherewithal to be like, okay, I'm going to problem solve in this situation.
Yeah.
Like, I just
I
think that's
absolutely would
so
not.
amazing when
I would
people can do
panic
that.
1,000%.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, babe,
I love those kinds of stories.
Good job, ladies.
I love survivor
Twist the
stories.
testicles.
Oh man. Well, let's segue.
Hey, I
something different.
do have to say, because that's like so like low. When my husband was producing the podcast last week and I talked about on the Thursday episode like serial killer trophies.
Oh, yeah.
He came back out and he goes, "Damn, I did not like that." And I was like, "Yeah, that was pretty rough. Sorry."
We get a little dark
He
sometimes.
goes, I thought your episode was exceptionally funny, but I did not like that.
Well, let me segue us into something a little bit more upbeat.
I don't know.
What
I'm
I'm
still
listening
listening to
to.
Butcher and Blackbird,
But
which
that's
is
at
about
least
serial
funny.
killers.
Yeah.
That's at least funny. I've been listening to the audiobooks of The Bonds That Tie, which have been great.
How do they do? Are they good?
Those.
They are pretty good. So they're narrated by Casey Hollowell and Wen Ross, and he plays all of the guys. And I the only critique that I have is that I feel like he doesn't differentiate his voice quite enough for me when different people are talking, and
I
I'm
agree.
frequently confused about like, wait, who is this? And I will also say that his Griffin voice is like not hashtag not my Griffin. It's not deep enough.
It's for sure not my Griffin because I still picture him as black.
He when he's North, he talks like this.
Oh, I see that.
And when Griffin is talking in North's POV, Griffin talks like this.
Oh God!
And I'm like, no,
Griffin definitely has the deepest voice.
Yeah, but other than that, I am really enjoying listening to those books because I've read them 17 times. So this is the first time I'm listening to them.
I think you're underestimating.
I know. I've read them. I've read those books a lot.
Do you count it every time on Goodreads? Because you could go back and see how many times you've read it.
I count them every time.
The second From Blood and Ash book, if you go, because you know how you can like scroll through and see when you read it. It's like you can't even see on the page what the next book is. I've read it so many times.
That one's my favorite of that series too. But I will say that hearing somebody read these words out loud reminds me of like how filthy those books are.
Oh, I know.
Because I feel like I've read them so many times that I'm like, oh yeah, this is the scene where
when you rated it the first time, and it was the first time it was like there was like a threesome, and you gave it 3 chili peppers, and I texted you and I was like, what does it take to get 5 peppers, Whitney? Because there was like choking and double
3
penetration.
more guys.
But I was like, damn girl, what are you into?
Yeah, I am. It's good stuff. Yeah. So Mindy's listening to Butcher and Blackbird.
Well, actually, I'm also listening to on Spotify. I found the Nobody Wants This playlist.
Oh yeah,
and
it's a
really good
score.
Yeah, they've got some really good. There's a really good soundtrack for that show. So go listen. It's fun.
Yeah, we just started watching that last night.
I actually watched it on Tuesday. My kids were off school and we watched like the whole thing together. But I can't tell you guys everything I watched this week. Otherwise, this episode would be 40 hours long. But I will talk about what I'm listening to. So I'm currently listening to American Rapture by CJ Lead, which we've talked a little bit on the podcast about this coming out. It's a very captivating book. It's a horror book. It's about a flu-like pandemic that makes the infected people go into like pure animalistic lust, like zombie type lust. And like not in a sexy way.
Oh.
I highly recommend this book, but the listeners should like definitely mind the trigger warnings.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sexual assault and people eating each other and like all kinds of crazy shit. I'm about halfway through it, and there's a lot of like religious fanaticism in it, which I always really enjoy seeing like what comes of that, right? And so I'll let you guys know what I rate it whenever I'm done, but I really like it. And then I also want to discuss the book I just finished listening to, which is Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, and it happens to be my convince you to read this book this week.
Ooh,
so do you mind if I go ahead and do that?
I've had so many people recommend this book to me.
Okay, so you're gonna laugh because I'm gonna like contradict myself a million times. So the trope trollop was asking me about it, and I sent her like what I'm about to say, and she's like, "That's not confusing at all." So it starts with a TikToker. He's a masked man and a woman who's like moderately obsessed with his videos. Like she comments on everything, definitely like flips her bean to it, like, you know, does all that.
She's a super fan.
She's a super fan.
Flips her bean. I've not heard that before. Oh my.
But you knew what I meant.
I knew exactly what you meant.
When he finds out about her obsession, he begins to stalk her, but not in like a totally gross way, not like haunting Adeline
in a
gross.
sexy way.
I mean, he does break into her house and put like a bunch of cameras up, for the record. So this,
as you do,
this sentence tells me that we've like gotten desensitized.
Well, that's not so bad.
Right. Anyway, the plot leads to a very consensual role-playing / stalking, and the TikTok guy is like actually a huge cinnamon roll, and they accidentally unalive a guy and have to figure out how to dispose of the body and like clear their alibis. But my favorite quote from the book is from her, because he like takes care of her. He's always like, okay, you need to sleep and you need to rest, and she goes, I don't want to go to bed, I want to stay up late and get railed, damn it. So like
same
like,
girl.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it as funny as Butcher and Blackbird, but it's definitely lighthearted like Butcher and Blackbird is. But he is like, oh my God, so cute. So cute. And I think there's a lot in the book, like with his backstory, that I think you both would really enjoy. I would highly recommend listening to it because the guy that narrates him is, oh God, it's so good. But
is this the one with Jacob Morgan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love him.
Yeah. And so again, it starts a little non-consensual, even though she essentially tells him in the comments, like, I want you to do this to me.
Yeah.
But then it becomes, they pretend it's not consensual, but it is. And that's what I did not like about Haunting Adeline, is it was pure psychotic chaos. And I don't like DevCon very much.
No,
and
I don't
so this is not really like that. It's
Yeah.
a little bit more like, you're a TikToker and I think you're hot. And he's like, oh, I think you're hot. Like,
Yeah.
so I would highly recommend to go read it. And it's
Yeah.
getting tons of buzz right now. I can't remember if I gave it 4 or 5 stars, but I did really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
Well,
read
awesome. Is that also what you're loving, or just all what you're listening
That was
to?
a
That was all what I'm listening to and convinced me to read. I told you I had a lot to talk about this episode. You want me to
That's
tell you
good.
what I'm
Yeah,
loving?
go ahead and tell us.
Christmas. That's what I love.
I put up our Christmas tree already.
Did you? I thought about
that.
it. I know that some people don't like an instant switch from Halloween to Christmas, but like, I'm totally here for it.
Yeah, I am
Okay?
too. I
Right.
pulled out all my like Christmas romance books that I bought
Right.
in May.
Yeah.
I
And
wanna-
stacked
I've
them
got
up
a
to
bunch
read.
on my
Right.
Kindle. Yeah.
I want to drink wine. I want to look at pretty lights. I want to go to parties. I want to eat appetizers and listen to Christmas music until New Year's
I've
Eve.
already
That's all I
started
want to do.
Christmas shopping. I've wrapped
Yeah,
a couple
same.
of things.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to be very like, no, not until Thanksgiving. And then I realized that was dumb.
It is done. I will
do
say
what you want.
I will say we usually put ours up right about now, and by Christmas I'm definitely ready for everything to come down.
Yeah.
But if I wait until the beginning of December, I feel
It's
like
not enough
I didn't
time.
get
Not
enough
enough
Christmas
time,
cheer.
yeah.
I think
Me too.
I think if it makes you happy, you should put up your Christmas shit whenever you
Absolutely.
want.
Yeah.
So,
No, I
And
totally
you know what?
agree.
Thanksgiving's still there. Get over it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it makes the house like feel more festive for Thanksgiving because I personally am not going to put up a bunch of Thanksgiving decorations.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Gobble
Like,
till you wobble.
yeah. Like I'm just not going to do that. I
Well, when
have
you
my
host
friends-
Thanksgiving, which is a big deal.
I always put up the it's the one with Thanksgiving, the sign that you made me.
Oh, yeah, with the
Friends
the
themed
turkey
one.
on Monica's head?
Turkey
Yeah.
on Monica's head. I always put that up, but that's the only
thank you.
Thanksgiving like decor that I have. So, Christmas
What,
is,
you don't
know?
bust out all the turkeys and hang them up?
No, I do not. I don't even have them.
Well,
believe
see,
it or
we,
not.
Martha Stewart, and we do hand-picked turkeys every year. No, I'm just kidding.
I raised my
with her
own
20
turkeys.
something years old.
Oh man, Mindy, what are you loving?
I am loving that I got invited to be an Amazon Vine reviewer,
Ooh,
which is super cool.
What's Amazon Vine?
So I guess when you review enough shit, which I do, because I buy stuff from Amazon all the time, but mostly it's books. But they invite you to be part of this Amazon Vine program, and so they have this whole like extremely long. There's so many products on here that you can choose from, and they send them to you for free, and you have to just try them out and review them.
awesome.
So I mean, I got like an earring set that because I have a lot of ear piercings, and so I got that. I've gotten a neck, like a heated neck thing that goes around. I don't know how to
Oh.
describe it. I got some basically weed chews for my dog, my anxious dog.
I was like, wait, weed chews.
I know, right? I wish the other. But yeah, no, it's like
For
everything.
my
You should
dog.
see all, I mean, there's everything from like clothes and accessories and automotive shit. And
Yeah.
just, I mean, every category you can think of. There's
This
so
place
much.
has
Please tell me
everything.
Darren's keeping a spreadsheet.
No,
No,
I know.
that's too bad.
Yeah, he doesn't get to use it. It's mine.
I always tell my kids, I'm like, mine's.
Yeah.
It's like me adding an S at the end makes it cute, but I'm real fucking serious.
Yeah.
It's been fun though. Like I get to pick 3 a day if I want. I mean,
Oh,
I can't-
wow.
I'm not
What?
gonna- yeah, I'm not gonna like review all that, but
Give me some shit, man.
It's like I get to go shopping every day.
I know that's pretty cool.
It's kind of nice.
Now I want
That's
to go
awesome.
see and how many reviews you have online, so I can like.
I know. Like, what's the goal?
Do you do a written review every time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like if it's not books, I don't do a written review. I just star it.
Yeah, I
But
usually
don't-
just start
I mean,
it too.
Even most of mine are books, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I've done a few other ones, but I don't feel like I've like go overboard on any of the other ones.
I feel like that's a really big accomplishment.
I know, I'm super
proud of
stoked
you.
about it.
Yeah, I'm like proud of you. I'm proud of all my friends
you.
today. Well, what I'm loving is very different from I'm not very different, but just not like shopping. So I've talked about Lady Gaga and her new music before. So she has another new song out that is, I don't think it's part of the concept album that I've talked about before. That's the Joker 2
Right.
concept album. I think this is a different thing, but she has this new song called Disease. Oh my gosh, this song is so freaking good. I texted it to my sister and I'm like, if you need a song to make you feel like a bad bitch on your way into work,
Nice.
like listen to this song. It reminds me a lot of her earlier stuff, like Bad Romance. It sounds a lot like Judas. That's if you know that song of hers. It does have a lot of similarities with that, but I love that. It's very like beat driven, so lots of like percussion, and you can like
Nice.
tap your foot along to it very easily, and it's
You
so
can be a bad
catchy.
bitch.
I mean, it is so freaking catchy. Her
I'll have
vocals,
to check that out.
they're so good. Like she's doing so much in this song vocally that is just like amazing, and she's also doing all these really cool like growl sounds in the background, like layered in. It's very awesome. I love it. I love her. It's just, I listened to it before I got out of my car. Like when I pulled into the neighborhood, I was
I'm
like,
gonna
I've
be a
got just
bad
enough.
podcasting
Yeah, I've got
bitch.
just
Yep.
enough time to listen to this song. And I am listening to it all the time, and I love it. So that's what I'm
That's
loving right
cool.
now. Anything else before we go into talking about Constantine?
No, we've talked a lot.
We have. Yeah. So we watched the movie Constantine, and should we give a quick little summary of what this movie is about for our
Probably.
listeners?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to talk about how it deviates from the comic, but that doesn't help people know what it's actually
I was
about.
gonna say I would
Yeah.
not have included that in, but
yeah.
it is based on a comic. So full disclosure, thought it was a vampire movie, and it definitely
Because
isn't.
I said I loved it, she's like, must be vampires.
I remember this movie coming out because, as I mentioned earlier, I worked at the movie theater when this movie came out, right? And so I remember the movie. I remember like putting together the big cardboard like ad thing that you put in the lobby of
Oh,
movie
shit, I
theaters.
would've brought
like,
that home.
I was
Keanu.
like, oh, that is a scary movie. I'm not going to watch that. So I did not watch it when it actually came out. But I worked the. They're all digital now, but the projectors, like I ran the film and like set it all up. Like that's what I did at
Did
the
you,
movie theater.
Grandma?
And one of the scenes is, yeah, I did. I know, right? Like old school. And back in my day, it was actual film. But one of my like favorite moments is something that when it happened and when I was watching this movie, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember seeing that happen when I worked at the movie theater.
that's
Like I
funny.
remembered it
Like
very
while you were
vividly. Yes.
changing the film.
Yes,
scripts,
like
yeah.
I very vividly remember it happening.
And she's
But-
back there churning butter.
yeah. So much to my dismay, this movie is about demons, and Keanu Reeves is basically like an exorcist guy,
Yes.
Like a
that's-
demon hunter.
Yeah, he's like a demon slayer. That seems to be his job. He's working for God to try to like atone for.
Well, because he
Something.
died and went to hell because he committed suicide.
Yeah, but then they brought him back.
He's atoning
I
for
was still-
sending so technically it's supposed to be you sent a innocent soul to hell, but the innocent soul was himself.
Was his own. Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay. I was a little confused about that, I will say.
Yeah, and again, if you know about the comics, you know more about that, right?
Yeah.
I think they assumed people would watch it
Or
because of the
catch on
comics,
it.
but if you were a diehard comic fan, you had some problems with the movie. So
I'm
it
just
was
a
like a
diehard
catch-22.
Keanu fan.
Girl, same.
So let's just talk about overall thoughts. That's basically the essential plot of the movie. Keanu is a demon hunter, demon slayer, and then this lady comes and asks him for help.
Right.
Like that's basically
Yeah.
what happens. But then there's a lot of details to go along with that too. But so I watched this movie. I watched half of this movie late at night by myself while Robbie was out of town. My dog wasn't even in the room with me because I let him go and sleep with my oldest kid. And I was like, oh, it's a vampire movie. Like that kind of thing doesn't freak me out. But like demons and stuff,
You had some
no.
regrets.
And I gotta say, when he lights the lighter and all those demons are in the street, that's terrifying.
That is really
I thought that was visually
That
stunning. though.
might have been where I was like, and I'm done. And I finished the rest of the movie the next day.
Did you
in
sleep
the
that
sunlight.
night?
I did, but it took me a long time to fall asleep. But the next day, I finished it in the daytime with the dog in my lap. But I had not seen this movie before. This was the first, but you guys had both seen it.
No, I had not.
Oh,
This
you
was
hadn't
the
seen
first
it
time I'd
either.
seen it, yeah.
Okay, I really liked it. I wasn't sure once I had figured out what was going on if I would, but I did enjoy it overall.
I'm conflicted because I actually did really end up liking it in the end. But I'm still sort of undecided about how I feel about it overall. I was confused more often than not, and I hate that. I hate that feeling of
I
being
was confused at times too. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I can't say I loved it. I definitely didn't hate it though. Like, I enjoyed.
It was a positive experience overall.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, there's some things I think I can tell you that might make it less confusing.
Well, I think maybe if I had known a little bit more about the
backstory.
So
Yeah.
I watched this movie in theaters when it came out. I loved it because I've always loved the grittier side of comics.
Yeah.
But it had a huge fandom, still does. And the movie kind of tanked because it was only loosely connected to the original work. Really, like, the character doesn't have the same mannerisms or anything. I didn't realize that Constantine is actually the 5th comic in the Sandman series, which has been on Netflix.
Oh.
Right. So if you kind of put it in that world, it makes a little bit more sense because that's all about demons and stuff. So, like I said, the movie deviates greatly from the comic. So in the comic, he's an anti-hero and he doesn't cure people of possession out of the goodness of his heart. He only does it if he's like making a deal with that demon. In the comics,
that does change things.
Yeah,
It does, yeah.
In the comics, John is an occult detective from Liverpool with like a super deep Cockney accent, and a lot of people had problems with like them
Keanu.
Americanizing it.
Yeah.
I don't think Keanu could do a Cockney accent.
He'd be like, "Whoa."
Whoa, governor.
So in the comic, his sinning actually puts him in hell because he does so many atrocious things by making these deals with demons.
Right.
But as we know in the movie, it's because he sent an innocent soul to hell. Papa Midnight, who's played by, how do you pronounce his name? I'm so sorry.
I don't know, but I know.
Digimon Hansu.
But I love that character.
He's actually a
him,
villain in the comics where, he's kind of playing like both sides in the
Right.
movie. He's like the main villain.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, a lot of people had problems with that.
Yeah.
Chaz, who is played by Shia LaBeouf, is an adult in the comics and not like an intern type of thing.
Right.
He's just as gritty as Constantine is. In the comics, Constantine is actually a magician and doesn't use weapons at all. He only uses wit and intellect, which kind of reminded me of Doctor Who, and I really like that. Yeah. And in the comic, he cons the devil out of his soul, which is why Lucifer removes his cancer and then makes him continue to live so he can be like Lucifer's bitch. So it's a lot darker, but it also, I think, explains a lot about the movie if you know these things.
Right.
Because you're just seeing him as this like do-gooder person, but it doesn't really tell you why he's doing all this shit.
Yes.
And I think if they had kept it a little grittier, it would have done a lot better.
Like maybe if they had made it for somebody who didn't know anything about the comics and not so much for comic fans.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But they didn't even really make it for comic fans because it pissed fans off. Right.
Yeah.
So despite the movie not doing well, it's actually pulled like a huge cult following over the years.
Yeah.
And they're working on a sequel right now.
So,
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
okay, spoiler alert. If you don't want to be spoiled, fast forward.
This movie came out 20 years ago. Fuck off if you have a
just
problem.
saying.
We're not giving spoiler alerts for something that came out 20 years ago.
So in the comics, does he not like sacrifice himself in the end?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So
No, he does.
When you told me that, I was like, that doesn't fit.
In the
doesn't make sense.
in the comics, the devil makes him continue to live because what he has done is he has done some, I forget exactly what it is, but it's essentially like he gave his soul to another demon so Lucifer can't have it. And Lucifer gets pissed and says, "You know what? Now you're cured of this cancer you've got, and now you're going to live and do whatever I tell you to do."
Yeah.
So like him being super selfish kind of goes, but also keeps the story going.
Which they were trying to portray that at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
but that's one of the things where I was like, I don't really understand what's happening right now.
Right. So it's interesting though that they pulled this out because he's just like a character in that Sandman world. Like he has his own comic.
Constantine is?
Yeah, he has his own comic within those comics, but like Sandman's the main character.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I think people loved the character so much they're like, let's just make a movie. But I forgot that maybe it was like CBS or ABC. They did a half season of Constantine. In the last 10 years. And the guy was British. But I never watched it. It never picked up. But people said it was really good.
When I was Googling some stuff, I was like, oh.
A friend of ours, shout out to Dara. I know she doesn't listen, but I think she should. She's really into that.
Well, she really loves Lucifer and all that stuff
maybe
too.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, let's talk about our favorite parts.
Oh, man. Gavin Rossdale walking in as a demon.
Okay, and in my notes there are several times where I have just actors' names in all caps with multiple exclamation
too.
points, like Shia LaBeouf, Tilda Swinton,
Right.
Gavin Rossdale.
Right.
Like I just kept doing
So
it.
when this movie came out, he was coming fresh off the success of Bush, which is his band, and
Yeah.
him walking in the room for me was a complete panty dropper. And I forgot he was in the movie. It happened again when I watched this last weekend. Bush was my very first concert, and I always loved this.
I know
their
you loved them
Yeah.
forever.
So funny story, but Gavin Rossdale almost got me pregnant once. And you all, I think both of you know this story, but our listeners do not. So Bush came to play in Louisville where we live, and my husband and I had balcony seats in this super cool venue called The Palace. It's like the venue around here. We're about midway through the concert, and suddenly Gavin Rossdale is like no longer on the stage, even though everyone can like hear him singing still. It was really weird. Like we're all looking around. Then all of a sudden he's like up in the balcony and still singing. He's got his mic in his hand. And everyone's got their phones out trying to record him. Women are like trying to like kiss him on the cheek and shit. It was like super kind of cringy in a lot of
Right.
ways. But because I didn't have my phone out, he locks eyes with me, comes down my aisle, picks me up, spins me around, and carries me down the aisle with him. He was sweaty, and I was sweaty, and my husband was so mesmerized that he didn't even mind that another dude
I love this story.
was carrying me down the aisle. But seriously, so pregnant.
Yeah.
Got so pregnant with a Bush baby.
Oh no! Look what happened by accident.
Oh no. But it was like, and he was singing Everything Zen. I'll never forget it. And so he did not miss a note. He's just
That's
fucking carrying
awesome.
me down the aisle. It was so cool.
It bothered
me,
me that
Gavin.
that character he played was such a skis though.
But he did such a good job
He
with it.
did. It was-
He really
he did good,
But
yeah.
I never would have guessed that he would do that because I feel like he's kind of a pretty boy. Even though he's a bad boy, he's kind of
Yeah.
I bet that's
Yeah.
why he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he probably was like, people think I'm just a pretty boy.
Pretty boy in a band.
Now I can
Yeah.
be Balthazar.
That's right. What was your all's favorite
Yeah,
part?
what was your favorite part, Mindy?
I had a couple I love. So it was interesting to me to hear you say that he didn't use weapons in the comic because one of the things I loved was when he just like randomly pulls shit out and constructs that badass gun and like fires it in the thing. I'm like, dude, nice. And then he blows up Balthazar with it, and then he gets what he deserves. I loved that.
That like the dragon's breath.
He's
Yes.
like, his
Yeah.
face is like melting off.
Yes.
That was
For-
cool.
For 2005, that was actually really good CGI. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also really loved the part where Chaz gets to use his knowledge and helps kind of save the day, even though he dies because of it.
That's really funny because that's one of my least favorite parts.
Really, no, I know that was the sad part, but I liked the part where he finally got to like
Do it.
be the
Yeah.
hero.
Okay,
right?
if that's your least favorite part, did
That's
you
one of
watch?
my least
Did you
favorite
watch
parts.
the post credits?
I didn't even know there was a post credit. So,
So
no.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch
Yeah,
it? I
yeah.
wouldn't have known, but I was watching it on Prime, and a little thing popped up that said,
Wait,
Keep watching.
"Wait for post credits." Yeah. So are you gonna spoil it for her, or so am I?
Oh well, it came out 20 years ago. It's not
So he
spoiling.
goes to Chaz's grave site, and I don't even remember what he said something, and starts to walk away, and then he turns around and Chaz is coming out as an angel.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Sequel.
I was gonna say, is that what they're working on?
I don't know. All I
'Cause-
know is as of last year, the screenplay was written and Keanu was like going through it with the director. So
So Shia LaBeouf is kind of like not
Dunzo.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
not in
A little
Hollywood
canceled.
anymore. Yeah. Well, so my favorite part overall was just like the visuals. Like you were just talking about the visuals. I felt like really held up well for being a 20-year-old movie. I really loved this scene. So this is what I was talking about a minute ago. Where when it happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember seeing this like in 2004 or whatever it was in high school. So when Rachel Weisz, her character, what's it, Angela? She gets pulled through the building and
Oh,
goes through
yeah.
all the walls, and Keanu Reeves is like chasing
Trying to
after
get
her.
her, yeah.
I loved that. And I was like, I
was a
so
super
vividly
cool moment.
remember like standing up in the projector booth, like looking at watching that scene happening and being like, what's going on? That took
what
me
did
back
you
to
think
high
of
school.
the hellscape? Because I thought that was very
I thought that was
visually.
really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I really liked
It was very
I loved all of it.
Revelations esque. Like it was really scary.
Yes, I really liked that a lot. I thought it was cool that it wasn't just hellfire and brimstone. It was like the world that you know, but
Right.
like this horrible
Right.
version of the world that you
Yeah.
know, which I don't think I've really seen that take on a hellscape before, but I really liked that a lot. And nothing else in that movie was familiar to me, but that one scene. But I really enjoyed Rachel Weisz and Keanu Reeves. Like, they're just really good. They're very good. And this could have been a very campy in a bad way movie, right? And like very overacted, but I think they did a really good job.
They had really good chemistry.
They did, yeah. And this was for me, I said in my notes, this is Rachel Weisz in her post-mummy glory. Like, this is a golden era for her, and I enjoyed that a lot. But I will go ahead and say, so one of my least favorite things is that Shia LaBeouf character, that he just like died. Like, I just didn't like that. I'm like, he finally got what he wanted, and then he died. Like, that's a bummer.
But like, he went out a hero.
I know, but I was just like, oh.
Also, his character kind of got on my nerves. I wasn't sad about it.
But
I have to drive the cab?
Yeah, there were 2 costume choices that made me roll my eyes and that I hated. Which, again, this is a 20 years ago movie. But so one of them is for Rachel Weisz's character, and the other one is for Keanu Reeves. So the one with Rachel Weisz's character that I hated is when Keanu Reeves like drowns her in the bathtub to like bring her powers back, which that was a big confusing. I was like, why is he killing her? Like, what's going on? I was very confused about that. But he wakes up her psychic powers, and I wrote in my notes, like, I'm so glad that she wore her sheer black bra and white tank top for this like water scene. Like, come on, you guys.
Do you always wear a black bra under your white tank top?
Like, come on. That really annoyed me, and I'm like,
how can we get the wet t-shirt effect?
Right,
but
like,
not
just,
have it be
yeah, like, how can we just like look at her boobs for no good reason? I hated that. That made me upset.
Just put her in a white bra. Like, she could have showed nipples. It's not a big deal. Maybe it would have changed the rating. I don't know.
Well, it was already R.
Oh, it had to have been R. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That really annoyed me because that was just so like gratuitous and obvious. Yeah. But the other thing that was Keanu Reeves. Okay, maybe I'm just like crazy, but I swear at the end of the movie when he's like sacrificing himself and he's like going to heaven ? And then Lucifer is like, no, and he's all like beaten and bloody and stuff. I swear to you, there's a frame where it looks like his nipples are bleeding and are like two little like bloody circles on his shirt. And I was like, what? Like, what? I don't know if I was seeing something different and it just looked like that.
Maybe
I don't know.
He just has big dark areolas.
Okay,
but his shirt is on. It was weird.
On Twitter, which is now X, it says, it's been brought to my attention that Keanu Reeves' nipples are bleeding in Constantine.
Yes.
Any theories as to why this might be?
Yeah, I'm telling you. And I was like, it was just so odd and weird. And like, why? That was a choice. Somebody made that choice either through makeup or through like post like CGI stuff. I don't know. But I was like, that's really weird and also unnecessary. So
I don't know.
That was my least favorite part.
I want to look more into that though, because you're not the only one that's noticed
seeing it. Okay, well, that makes me feel better because I was like, is it
validated.
me? Yeah, like,
I will say,
curvy or something?
It's very much a Constantine move, but I did think it was kind of corny in that same scene where he's like smoking a cigarette and flips off the devil. I'm like, all right, cool. You're supposed to be witty, buddy. Come on,
But yeah, those are my favorite and least favorite. So everybody shared favorite, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what were your all's least favorite parts?
Mine, there were some ick parts for me. Like,
it's so funny. I use the word ick in my least favorite part too. Yeah.
And it wasn't like what you would expect it would be. Nothing bothers me very much except for animals dying and bugs. So,
well, then you did not like
right.
So the cow, when he's walking
nothing
down,
much bothers me, just critters.
When he's walking down and the cows just fall down dead and it keeps going. I'm like, but the cows.
That did last longer than I thought it needed to.
Or they could have all gone at once.
You know what? That stuff doesn't typically bother me in movies. And I say that, although I stopped watching Game of Thrones when they cut the horse's head off.
Oh.
I was like, that was a bit much. Because like horses and cows seem like really innocent creatures.
Well, it's not like I'm a vegetarian or anything. I don't know. I just don't like watching animals die.
I'm with you on that.
You really do love animals, though.
I really do.
Man. It's not that I don't love animals, but you really love animals.
And then, so the bug part, the whole bug demon where like...
But like attacked him on the sidewalk or whatever.
And then the fly that crawls out of Beeman's eye.
Oh, that was horrible.
Just ick.
Yeah.
I put that in there. And then the only other thing that really, really bothered me was when Lucifer tries to lick Constantine.
See, I felt like that was like a power move. Like I can do whatever I want to you.
I think it just reminds me of Brad Marchand in the hockey world who licks his opponents just to be like intimidating.
Okay, that's fucking gross.
Right? I'm just like,
He doesn't get in trouble for that.
Oh yeah, he 100% gets in trouble for that.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a power play. It's a douchebag power play.
But it makes me hate him.
Does he have to go in the, what is it called? The box? The
penalty box?
The penalty box?
He's not getting into my box if he licks my face. Gross.
He's disgusting anyways, so.
Yeah.
So what I said gave me the ick is that I think Constantine relies too heavily on the term half-breed.
Oh, yeah.
It really ages the movie, to be honest.
He did say that a lot, yeah.
He did.
Yeah, and so he's also died twice and been brought back to life. So doesn't that make him a supernatural half-breed as well?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
And technically so is Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, true.
So, like, I don't know. It just felt like, to the point, I guess, like, demonic racism. But, like, I didn't like it. I'm like, why do you keep, like, why is that your only insult?
Right.
Well, it's like, it's almost like, when people over bully or over, talk about how much they hate something when it's really that's what they are.
Thou
Yeah,
dost
maybe.
protest
Maybe
too much.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that. I did like a lot of what I thought were very like creative twists on very familiar religious characters, I guess. Like Lucifer coming in and basically like saving the day at the end, I thought was kind of a cool twist on, like, you wouldn't expect Lucifer to come help anybody with anything.
I
right?
love
Like,
that Gabriel
like
was
that.
a woman too. It's
Yeah.
Tilda
Oh,
Swinton.
yeah.
I wrote in my notes, I still prefer Richard Spade. Gabriel.
I will say though, Tilda Swinton plays the best supernatural villain.
She's really
She's
good.
in Narnia as a
Yeah.
supernatural villain. She's in tons of stuff.
She
in
is.
that, she's just got that angular face that really can like
Otherworldly.
Yeah, she can distort it really easily, and she just kind of plays this badass that I really respect. And so I loved seeing her in the film.
Yeah, I thought it was really
That was
good.
very hick in the film.
I like that in the
I
film.
like that.
So after watching Constantine, do you get why Lark in Leather Lark loves it so much?
Other than Keanu is hot.
Yeah.
Is that the only reason you had she might like
No.
it? I was like, all right.
Other than.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I kind of thought maybe because of the whole theme of atonement and sacrifice. Or maybe she connects with it because she thinks she's going to hell. I don't know.
So go ahead, Whit.
No, that's kind of what I said, sort of. So I think very much Lachlan is definitely a Constantine-like character. Like, he's hot, he's broody, he's grumpy. He's not a good person, but he's also, like, doing good things. And I think that she sees some parallels there, even if it's, like, unconscious or subconsciously. But also, Constantine loves Angela in the movie, even though she's got like some issues, you might say, right? Like, she's got these paranormal powers, like there's a lot going on there, but he's still drawn to her, and she's not the easiest person to love. And I think Lark sees herself like that. And I think that she's drawn to a story where a person that's got some issues and isn't necessarily easy to love still has somebody that like falls for them.
Oh, I like
and
that
I
type.
think I think she needs to see that because she needs to believe that she's like
Lovable,
worthy,
right.
yeah, lovable, and
She
not
kind of
not
has
just
the same
by
thing as
Sloane.
Sloane. Like, I'm very lovable, damn it. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So if we're going off the movie and not the original material, it's funny. I feel like Constantine and Lark have a lot of parallels where you feel like Constantine and Lachlan do.
Well, I think Lark does too. Yeah,
Right. So they've both done bad things and they're trying to receive redemption for what they've done.
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz's character will do anything to protect her sister, much like Lark protects Sloane.
Yeah.
And Constantine literally lives with demons, even though Lark only lives with them figuratively.
Yeah.
And she even tells someone that Sloane made it possible for Lark to know that she can slay demons.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I see a lot of parallels between the, and I think that she sees herself in him. And if she's watching the movie and not reading the comics, he has redemption, right, for
Yeah.
doing like good deeds and everything. So I think all the positivity she's always putting on is like her being like, okay, I killed some people, but I'm also giving people gold stars for their tits.
Right.
Like,
Well, and the motivation of killing those people is like we talked about with Butcher and
they're
Blackbird,
the
right?
demons
Like,
of the
yes.
world.
exactly. Yeah, they're Lachlan and Lark are both like demon hunters, essentially, in their different ways and their different roles. But yeah, and also Keanu is hot and grumpy
Yes.
and broody, just like good old Lachlan. But are there any other thoughts about
Did you
the
all
movie?
catch the scene, the shout out to Louisville?
I I did. I wrote
What
that.
are you talking about?
Yeah. So no, you brought it up. You go ahead.
No, you hang up.
During the scene where the one dude, I guess he's a priest.
He's like a psychic, the one who drinks a lot because he hears voices.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
he's going through all those newspapers, and he's like, it's going. I don't know if it's in his mind or if he's actually going.
Well, do
through
you
them.
realize he had like a relic on that stopped
Yeah.
his visions, and Keanu has him take it off?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think he was going through and and I still don't honestly understand what that part was about.
I think he was looking for, kind of like in the show Supernatural, when they're looking for signs of demonic activity or angelic activity. I think that's what he was doing.
Well, right in the very beginning of that montage, a newspaper comes up and it mentions something cited in Louisville or whatever.
Yeah. A bunch of bodies.
Yeah.
A bunch of bodies were dug up in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
or
I
something.
definitely was watching it on my iPad with all the, like, I was in a hotel like suite, and so there was like a living room and a bedroom, and I had like all the lights on.
All
in
the
other
lights.
rooms.
Yep.
And so like, I was
Yeah, you
not
probably
always
missed that.
I was not always paying attention to the details. So I was looking for demons out of the corner of my eye.
I know, right? Head on a swivel the whole time.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Go away. Stop it.
No, that's the only other thing I have.
Yeah, I put that in my notes too. I was like, Louisville, what's up? Anything else about the movie before we move into our nerdiest things of the week?
I love it. People should go watch it.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. Like, absolutely did
Yeah.
not hate
It's
it.
not really your type of movie though, men.
It's not. And I really honestly thought it was going to be, because it was based on a comic, be more like superhero. Like, and so I kind of went in thinking I wasn't going to like it. So
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised that I
Good.
did
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, it was good. It was a positive experience.
Yes, it was.
Even though it wasn't about vampires. I keep doing that. Like, I keep being like, oh, a vampire thing. And then it's not at all. And then I'm like, oh.
Maybe if there's
wah.
something that I like, maybe you guys should just ask me.
Is it vampires?
Does it have vampires in it?
Because you both have made that mistake based on something I like.
I didn't think I needed to ask, because it was like, oh yeah, that is a vampire. Like, I was very positive that it was a vampire movie, you know? Anyway, what about your nerdiest things of the week, guys? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Mindy.
Oh, well, if you follow us on Instagram, which you should, you saw
At Our Nerdiest Thing.
Yes, at Our Nerdiest Thing. And you can also catch us on Facebook. But
On the
book of faces, and also on YouTube. But anyway, you saw our one of the pictures from our bookish ghost photo shoot that we had with our book club. It was super fun. I think we were all a little irritated by the time we got to it, but we had fun with it anyways. Shout out to Deb's daughter Sadie. She took the pictures, and she also what's that? Edited. Thank you. Edited them, and they were super cute. Like, she did such a great job.
Yeah,
so
she
that
did.
that was one thing that I thought was fun. And along with that, we made it like a non-charcuterie board kind of dinner. So we all brought something that wasn't charcuterie, actually. No meat and cheese. And so I decided I was going to make a bread and butter board, which sounds awesome, right?
Yes, it does.
And it would have been great if I had not forgotten most of the butters.
I would have loved to have tried your bread and butter board.
The bread part was
It was
good.
a bread board.
It was
For the
good.
record, the only butter she remembered was the vegan butter because I can't have dairy, so I still got mine.
Yeah.
Well, and we all ate it too. We ate the
It was
shit out of
good.
that stuff.
Yeah, it was
For the
good.
record, vegan butter does not taste any different.
Yeah, it was
It
good.
To
really
me, it
doesn't.
doesn't. Do you
It-
guys notice a difference?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
Good job, Mindy.
I'm not
still
vegan.
enjoyed-
I ate the shit out of some meat.
I enjoyed all the bread. Deb, what was your nerdiest thing?
So last weekend I had to go to Orlando for work, and I always try to do something for myself on every work trip that I take.
Yeah.
It kind of keeps the monotony down, right? A lot of times it's an art museum, but this time I went to Universal and had so much fun. However, pretty early in the day, and we're talking like 11:30 in the morning, but I went at opening. I went on the Krusty Land ride and almost threw up in a kid's lap. We're talking about the
Aw.
Simpsons ride, but it's one of those virtual simulators where
That's
the
what I was just
screen's
about to ask. Yeah.
super close to your face. It reminds me of the Flight of Passage at Disney, where like you're
Yeah.
in a vehicle type thing. You're moving a whole bunch. You're moving with the screen. Like at one point, it looks like you're facing down, right? And it made me super sick. Flight of Passage makes me super sick. And I don't get like car sick or motion sick or anything, but those specific rides. And I don't think I rode Krusty Land when I went the first time. Otherwise, I would have known better. But I was literally breathing through my nose and out of my mouth reciting, "Don't throw up. don't throw up. And like there was a little girl there. It was like her first time, and I'm like, I cannot ruin this little girl's trip by throwing up on her.
Yeah,
but you all
that would have been a bummer.
Next door to that is Moe's Tavern, so I went over there and I got something to eat, and then I sat at the bar with a beer I didn't drink and read on my Kindle for 2 hours because I was so sick.
That's how I get like once I start feeling sick like that, it takes a long time.
You gotta get out.
But then I went to Diagon Alley and I was fine.
Yeah,
but I didn't ride very much after that because my stomach was just in shambles. So Krusty Land, which again is not a scary ride, little kids can go on it. It just made me so sick, but it was fun.
Well, and that leads into my nerdiest thing, because you sent a picture in our book chat on Instagram, our Instagram channel, of you, I guess it was Diagon Alley, was it?
It was right before Diagon Alley, but it was the night bus.
Yeah, and I knew instantly, not just where you were and like that it was the night bus, but I know that character's name. And I was like, oh, Stan Johnpike.
And I was
there
like,
he is.
I had to look it up because I was like, who the fuck is that? And I was like, oh, it was the guy I was standing next to.
Yeah, he's the conductor.
I was so impressed by that, Whitney.
Yeah, well, because in the books, he's the conductor, and then he turns into one of the snatchers.
Yeah.
He's like the main snatcher.
I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, in the books, he's the one, I think, that catches them and takes them to the Malfoy Manor.
He is?
But in the movies, they made that just like some random dude.
So you've been to Universal. What I really love, though, is like the shrunken head is behind you and they talk through it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to take a selfie with you. And he's talking in like that Jamaican accent. And he's like making fun of me for wanting to take a selfie. It was really, really cute.
I want that job.
That would be super.
We could just fuck with people all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I used to, it doesn't come up on my algorithm anymore, but on TikTok, I used to get, I don't know if it's Disneyland or Disney World, maybe it's Disneyland, but it's like Finding Nemo, and it's one of the like the surfer dude the turtles, I think, and it's interacting with the kids.
They do that on the
show.
Cruises.
Maybe it's a cruise.
Yeah, there's a restaurant.
It's really funny.
Yeah,
but anyway,
we love technology.
Yeah. Well, that's it for today.
Did Mindy say hers?
Yeah.
What was it?
The butter and bread.
Oh, I wasn't fucking listening, apparently. I'm sorry.
Totally had a conversation and brought up vegan butter.
We talked about vegan butter.
I'm so tired, you guys.
That's it for today. Stay tuned. Thursday. Don't stay tuned. Listen again on Thursday. It's fine. We'll edit that.
If you stay on for 2 days, we're not going to be here.
Eventually, we'll come back. Yeah, we're still talking about Leather and Lark on our read-along episodes, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.